Vlogmas, December 15th, day 15. The sun is out. It's a little breezy. I'm actually on the deck with no shoes on and just PJs. It's that warm out. Well, I have a high tolerance to cold, but really it's beautiful. What a beautiful morning. Skies look a little, I don't know, gray. The sky's not blue. But I think it's going to be a wonderful day. Here we go. Our patient is doing well. Right, Mal? You're just moping around. You're just depressed. You're pouting. That's what you're doing. You're pouting, aren't you? Because of your boo-boo. It's been a few days in. I think I can show you this incision now. It's getting much better. It's healing. Right, boo? Huh? Yeah. You're itchy because you can't scratch those ears, can you? No, you can't. And how about the belly? Let me rub that belly. Okay. You're gonna be fine. Just what, 12 more days with this hat on? I know you hate it. We kind of trimmed down the bottom so that she could drink and eat because she's having a hard time. We're just keeping the top high so that she can't scratch the top of her head. She'll be fine. Okay, it's Vlogmas Day 15, December 15th. Would you say it's about time I start making my Christmas cards? I do. It's Sunday. With any luck, I might be able to get them finished up by today and tomorrow. I want to make about 30 cards. Oh, I forgot to bring, well, I'll show it to you when I do an overhead. I have a little arm over there that I stick my camera on, and you can see my hands working. I'll show you what stamp set I'm using then. I think it's called Merry Moose. Might not be, but I'll show you the stamp set. I'm going to make about 30 cards, and I've already stamped up the inked up the stamp pads I want to use, because I used to stamp all the time, every day. Every day I had a blog, and I used to make a card every day. So my stamps were much more juicy, I guess is the best word for it. I don't make as many cards now. I make birthday cards as we need them, sympathy cards, thinking of you cards, thank you cards, and I don't know what else, but I make them as I need them. Baptism, graduation, confirmation, blah, blah, blah. So my Christmas cards are the biggest amount of cards I make at any given time. I'm only going to make about 30, so it's not outrageous. And like other things I do an assembly line. So I'm going to show you all the elements of what I do. First of all, to design the card, well, it's not going to be in any particular order. I need to design what I'm going to do, use the elements, and then put all the elements together. I make one card. Once I have one card made up the way I actually want it, because what I have in mind and when I actually stop putting it together, a lot of times it doesn't work. So I've watched a lot of videos regarding this stamp to see what other designers have done, because in the stamping world they have something that's called casing. To case, C-A-S-E, copy and share everything. I've looked at a lot of designers. I saw what they've done with this stamp set. I looked at the samples in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and I've kind of got an idea about what I'm going to do. What I'm doing most... Oh, Molly, I'll be with you in a moment. She's very needy. She was always the high-maintenance dog, and now that she's a patient, it's like every 2 minutes she barks at you for something. She probably wants a drink of water. Let's go see. Let's go see if that's what she wants. All right. Molly, where are you, and what are you barking at? What do you need? Do you want that cookie? You can have that cookie. It might not be yours, but is that what you're barking at? Yes, you wanted to steal Zuzu's cookie. Is that all it was? Here you go, Zuzu. Another one for you. Molly's got another one of your biscuits. Come and get it. If you leave them on the floor, she takes them. She does ask permission, though. All right, back to where we were. I'm going to put all the elements of the card together. Once I have one card as my design, that's what I'll end up using. I'm gonna cook it now. Oh, it was nicely. The dogs always interrupt me. Alright. So once I have the design finalized, then I really go assembly line. There are going to be mousse. Oh, no. Back to casing. CASE. Copy and share everything. Designers do not mind if you use their design as long as they're given credit for it. So of all the designs I've been seeing, mine will closely resemble that of Brandy on brandyscards.com. It's going to be like hers. The only thing is I didn't go to her website to see what her measurements are. So I didn't check out the measurements. So I'm going to use my own measurements, like my borders, but I think I'm going to be using all her colors because as I recall, she used I want to say an old olive and an early espresso, which is a green and a brown border on a white background, and that's what I'm going to be using. She used the mousse. I'm going to use the mousse, and she used the green pine trees, and that's what I'm going to use. Haven't quite decided what I'm putting on the inside. There'll just be a little sentiment, one of the sentiments from the set, and maybe a little piece of design of like patterned paper, not cardstock, but a little slip of like maybe something plaid, so that there's plenty of room to write on the inside of the card. So that's that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you pretty much how the base, I'm going to show you step by step what I do, but not necessarily in order. As I started to say, I just inked up my stamp pads because they were pretty dry. I inked up the ones that I plan to be using, which is a reddish one, which if I say the colors are Early Espresso, which will be the outline of the mousse, Crumb Cake, which will be the body of the mousse. I'm going to put a little sentiment on the front of the card, and that's going to be in a red color. It's called Cherry Cobbler because it's a cherry red. What else did I stamp on? I think that's all I did. Oh, and I did Old Olive, but I don't know that I'm going to use any green. Oh, yes, I am. Silly me. I'm going to use the green on the trees. So, yeah, that's why I inked up the Old Olive stamp pad. I'll show you the stamp pads and all that stuff once we're working on the elements of the card. Hope you find it interesting. That's what I'll be doing today on the 15th day of Vlogmas. Meet you over at the stamping table. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is make a mousse. I told you the name of the stamp set was Merry Mousse. Here it is. Merry Mousse. You've got an outline of a mousse, a fill-in of a mousse. You got a raccoon on a log. Don't know if I'm using that. You've got some sentiments here. You got 3 Christmas packages that would be fun to color. A Christmas ornament, some snowflakes falling. Mousse tracks, big tree, little tree. Those are the mousse tracks. Big tree, little tree, a scarf, and a hat. Okay, I'm starting with the mousse. What I also have is a punch. I've got a mousse punch. Let's see if you can see that. There it is. That's the mousse punch. You use all the punches upside down so that you can see what you're punching. Alright, so let's see if this is even going to work, if I'm even going to like it. So the first thing I do is I have an Early Espresso color, which is a dark brown, and I have a Crumb Cake, which is a very, very light brown. The first thing we're going to do is do on a piece of scrap. You can see I did something else with this. On a piece of scrap, we first ink up the mousse outline. Okay, and then when you stamp straight down and take it straight up. Okay, I already did something wrong. That mousse looks okay. However, when you're working with a photopolymer stamp rather than a red rubber stamp, see what you can see? Stamps, you're probably familiar with red rubber. There's red rubber on a wooden backing. Well, these are photopolymer. They're, here it is. They're clear photopolymer stamps. The good thing about these things is that they're clear and you can see through them and you can see where you're stamping. So much better than wooden stamps. Alright, this one came out okay, but what you're supposed to do with photopolymer is to stamp on a spongy surface because it'll take the ink better. Let's see if we see any difference. We might not, because I did just recently inked up the stamps, as I said. Okay, let's take some more of this Early Espresso. And we'll stamp it here. Notice I'm stamping close to the bottom of the paper. That's going to help with punching out the design later. Okay, I'm just kind of rubbing it on. And straight up. So, I don't know if there's that much difference. But you see all the, oops. You see all the detail when you get all the pieces of the image onto your paper. Now we take the full deer, the interior, the fill-in, and I'm going to stamp that in the lighter color. Crumb cake it's called. Can you see how light it is? It's not very much ink there. And because it's clear and see-through, you are able to line it up. You line it up with your image best you can and bring it straight down and straight up. Not so hot. Okay, so what this tells me is if this is going to be a difficult image to stamp, what I'm going to do is put it in I have two different mechanisms I can use. I can use the Stamparatus, or I can use this stamping tool that's called Misty, and it's the most, M-I-S-T-I, the most incredible stamping tool I invented. I don't know. Well, anyway, I might do that, but just to give you the idea of the way this will look. Now, to use a punch, you should always use a punch upside down so you can see exactly what you're stamping. Alright, so there's going to be a lot of white border on this. Let's see if I can stamp it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm lining up the stamp best I can, and a little hint here is to bring it down halfway so that you're not quite cutting through the paper yet. I'm pushing down on it here, but then not real hard so that I can move around the area and punch it out. First time I use that punch, so it's a little tough. Here's my moose. You might think, not bad, but not so good. Let's put him on a little piece of pattern paper and see what he would look like if I had him on the green. And you can tell, you can tell it's a moose. There are a couple of things you can do. If you got a lot of these and you didn't like the fact that you missed a part of his back there, there are many tools you can use to just fix up that image and hope for the best next time. But we have these things that are called blending pens. This is a blending pen. I think it is. Let me make sure I got a blending pen. Yep, this is a blender pen. So, last time I used it with red. So you just kind of rub it on here until it's clear. You can see it's not clear. Alright, and so then once you do that, you can take your blending pen and just blend the ink that you have on there so that no one can tell you missed your mark. I'm blending around his nose, snout, whatever you want to call it. And if it's not quite enough, you can always dab this onto your ink pad and color them in more. Fill in the antlers so that no one will know you stamped crooked or you didn't quite hit the mark. Alright, this isn't bad now. I would use this now because I think it looks okay. It just has the white outline of the stamping, but that's okay with me. So that's what he looks like. What do you think? See how it's filled in? Or maybe I could fill in a little more, like right here. See if you can tell. Take a little ink from the ink pad. And everything's fine. So I have a moose. One of the elements of the card. When I'm ready to produce another element, I'll show you that. See you soon. Back again. Now it's time to cut the actual physical card. I'm going to be using a thicker cardstock in what they call Whisper White. Cardstock comes just like copy paper does, 8.5 by 11 inches. You can get 2 cards from one piece of paper. You can either cut it down at 4.5, No, 8 by 11. 4. You can cut it in 4, fold it in half, and have an upright portrait type card design. Or you can cut it across and fold it in half, and you can have a horizontal type design. I'm going to have the moose walking across the forest. So I am going to do the horizontal design, which that means you can do one of two things. It's going to be cut at 5.5. And when it's cut at 5.5, you can do it different ways. So if I put, here's my Stampin' trimmer. They have a new one on the market now. I haven't purchased it yet. I don't know if it's better yet or not. So I'm going to stick with this one, at least for these cards. Okay. So, oh my goodness, I had something in there. I forgot someone was using my cutter. This happens. So now I don't have a clean cut, which is somewhat upsetting, but you can fix everything. I will recut it. Oh, it's not bad at all. I thought it was going to be all choppy. Okay, so now that you've cut it at 5.5, you're going to score it. Score at 4.25. That will get you the card size you need. My blog site is score@4.25.blogspot.com, because how many times when you're giving someone instructions on to how to make a card, you have to say, cut at 5.5, score at 4.25, score at 4.25. This is a cutting blade. This is a cutting blade on the cutter. This is a scoring blade. It'll only do a fold, like a score line, a fold line for you. So you just score it. I don't know if you'll be able to see the score line. It's kind of tough to see, maybe on this side. No. Well, you have to take my word for it. There's a score line on there. And what you do is fold. And what I do is I use a bone folder. Cutter out of the way. Use a bone folder to get your card. So you see it'll stand this way. It's going to be a horizontal card. But I was just looking at it, and I think I see a bit of a rough edge here. We do have a sander for paper. It's sort of like the stuff you use for your nails. I happen to have one that's a Stampin' Up! One, but you can just sand down that edge if it's rough. There. Plus, I may make that the back of my card. So, what I do is mark the front and back. I have a stamp. I have a stamp with my name on it. I think I'll use the crumb cake. It'll be a nice light color. These stamp pads store the stamp pads upside down so that the ink is always at the top when you open it. Isn't that clever? I am going to, a lot of times I check it first to see if it's, it's okay. Alright, I'm going to put my name on the back. Then I know front from back, inside from outside. Less likely to make an error. Let me see that. Just says hand stamped by Diane Roberts. Okay. So, now, actually what I would do is I want to make 30 cards. I'm going to take 15 pieces of paper, cut them all in half, score them all, stamp them all. Then I've got all those done. Okay? I'm not going to do that now. I'm not going to bore you with the assembly line work. But so here's the beginning of the card. Next is to do some borders around the card. The card I'm casing had used a brown, the early espresso, and old olive. I don't have enough early espresso to do 30 cards. I might not even, so I'm going to use the no, this isn't crumb cake. This is called soft sable. It's a shade of the brown. What did I do with that? Here's the mousse. But I think as a border, it'll go well with this mousse, because you're not going to see very much of this. Now to make borders, you know that this is 5.5 by 4.25. So now I'm going to cut a piece that is 5.25 by 4 for the first border, because I'm going in 1/4 inch. So I do 5.25 by 4 inches. That's going to be my first border on the front of the card. So there'll be some white showing through to reflect the whiteness of the snow, the brown to reflect the color of the moose. Then I'm going to do a green. I don't know if I want the brown then green or the green then brown, but this is the time for experimentation. I have to go in another 1/4 inch. So this is going to be 5 by 3 3/4. 5 by 3 3/4. Then I have my green outline border. I think I'm going to like that because the base of the card is going to be white. So now I have to cut another piece of white that I'm going to actually put my design on. So we're going to go down another 1/4 inch. So that was 5. So it's going to be 4 3/4 by, what did I say this was? I just did it. 3 3/4. Yeah, 3 3/4. So now we're going to do 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Okay, picking up after all that confusion. Just to show you, anyone can make cards. I actually wrote down the measurements so that it would be easier and I wasn't talking over the numbers and stumbling. We started off with 5 1/2 inches by 4 1/4, which was our white base. Then we used a 5 1/4 by 4 brown border. And then we used a 5 inch by 3 3/4 green border. And now the stamping part of the card is going to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So here I have 3 1/2, and this would be 4 3/4. To tell you the truth, I never just cut off the top of my head like that. I always write it down. Can tell how out of practice I am. So we will be layering the card like this. We will stick that there, stick this here, and then we're going to put the white right there. So that's going to be, this is going to be where we'll stamp. Stamping comes next. I'm not sure what happened if you lost me there. I don't know if my battery? No, my battery seems to have enough time. Well, there's my second tree. Second generation. I'm even going to try a little 3rd generation right here. It may or may not show up. There we go. Because some trees could be in the distance. I'm going to take another one. Stamp it up in Old Olive. Do the Mossy Meadow again. Is it Mossy Meadow? I'm not even sure if, yeah, I'm pretty sure this, yeah, Mossy Meadow. I'm pretty sure this is still a current color in Stampin' Up. Put a little bit here and there. I'll stick this one right about, maybe higher up. That tree's a little crooked, but I'm hoping it's not going to show. Let's do another 2nd generation right here. And then maybe one here, stamp off, and put it right here. There we go. You know what? Not happy with that. Don't like the way that looks. The beauty of stamping. You can always flip it over. Maybe I don't need that second color. Let's try this. 1, 2. Keeping it straight. 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm much happier with that image. Alrighty, trees are done. Let that dry a little. Let's see how the moose is gonna look. Did I lose the moose again? Everything's right here on the table. I shouldn't lose it. There he is. He looks kind of big. We'll see how this goes. I might do another moose. Maybe I should put the trees up a little higher. Well, I'm going to play around with that design, but you get the idea of where I'm going. so that you don't have to continue watching this. But yeah, I'm going to do that. Put a mousse on it. Put a little sentiment here. Actually, I don't know if this is the one I'm going to use, but I think I can put the sentiment on right now. I want it to be in red, and I think this is very corny, but I think I'm going to use the Merry Christmas because I just like, this is how the stamps come. Where's Merry Christmas? Here it is, right here. So I just have a little tree here too I didn't use yet. Let's see how this looks. Whoops. Cherry cobbler. Try it out. Yeah, I think I like the looks of that. So right on the front, we're just going to have a little, right there. We'll put, it's a little crooked, I'll do it better when it's the real one. Merry Christmas. So let's see, we've got this. We've got this. I might change up the green to the brown too, because it might be too much green with the trees right there. Although no, it's a nice background, I think. So that'll go there, and we're going to put in the mousse. I think the mousse looks a little, I think if I had the trees up just a little higher, or maybe not, because I'm going to put the mousse on dimensionals. So you know what, this is practically done. I'm going to do one more stamp piece here in the brown. I keep going in there for the stamps. The stamps are on here. Where are the mousse tracks? Here they are. These are the mousse tracks, so I gotta figure out where I want my mousse to be. If the mousse tracks go here, I would have my mousse right there. Yeah, that'll work. I'm gonna put my mousse higher up. So I just need a stamp to make these tracks. I think I'll make the tracks in the early espresso brown, the same color I used to outline the mousse. I'm not sure which way these tracks. Yeah, I guess the tracks go this way. So I have some early espresso ink right here. Oh, I got a blob. Let's see if I can clean this off. I think I have, what I use is just chamois. You can use chamois. You can buy them from Stampin' Up, but what I do is I buy them at the Auto Parts store, and I cut them in half, and look at how great they clean. Although I usually wipe them down after. Okay. I think I juiced up this early espresso too much, so I'm just going to lightly tap it. Just so I have some subtle mousse tracks. I see a big blob in there, it might be trouble. Let's get all this out of the way. I'm going to put the mousse right about there. There are the mousse tracks. They're so tiny, but so you can see them. Mousse tracks. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out a bed of mousse eventually. But we have these things that are called Stampin' Dimensionals, and this will give you design some dimension. It's a little foam. It's a little bit of foam that I'm going to stick on the back of the mousse. I'll cut a couple of them, put a couple of them on here. Little stickies, you pull off the backing, and you've got a little foam to give the object a little dimension on your card. So if I stick him like, I guess it doesn't matter. There we are. Or should he go further back? Maybe like that. Try that. That's the mousse. I'll do this, and this, and this. And we have the Merry Christmas. Not bad. But I'm going to put some, I'm going to say it, glitter on the trees. Back again. Okay. I've redone the card with the trees up higher. I put the moose tracks in, and I put Merry Christmas, Chris Moose over on the side. I want to get the moose kind of over here to the center. I did stamp a new moose too. Here he is. I haven't punched him out yet. I'll punch him out in a minute. Most designers don't do this. They design their card, they get it down to final, then they show you how they build it. I'm showing you how I design, which is probably a little crazy thing to do. But anyway, now what I want to do is, see this stamp set? See right here? Whoop. Snowflakes. I decided I needed some sparkle on the card. I know Brandy did put Dazzling Diamonds glitter, but glitter has a tendency to just fall off of things and get on everything. So I have this little snowflake stamp. And I have what we call watermark ink. This doesn't do anything but make sticky marks of the design, the impression of the design onto the paper. And then you can put things on the stickiness of it, which I am going to put these embossing crystals, which are called Winter Wonderland. Okay, let me show you how this works. So I'm going to stamp up. I'm going to stamp this snowflakes. I'm just going to randomly put them on the design. I won't even know where I'm putting them because I can't see. I can't see the snowflakes because it's just a watermark. Hoping this is going to look good. Might not. But it's only a little piece of paper. Okay. If you want to try to see where you've done it, you can kind of do this. Well, anyway, I can't tell. It might not be enough snowflakes, but we're going to take the embossing powder and sprinkle it over where I most likely stamped snowflakes. Knock off the excess. I see some. They're not all that random as I would have liked. I want to get it off of my stamp pad, because if I don't, those sparkles are going to get hot on there. So now the next thing to do is to hit it with my heat gun. I'll turn the sound, no, I don't know if I can turn the sound off. It's going to be loud. But let's see if we can get these to emboss. Ouch. Getting hot. Do it from the back too. Okay, I can see them now. I don't know if you can see them. Can you see these? They just look like blobs. They're not all that nice. You know why? Because it's not snowing enough. But now that I can see them, what do I do with the stamp? No, that's not it. Here it is. Let's see if I can add a few more. Oh, I'm not on my pad. This helps. This might not be the way to go either. But if you're going to design, you got to give it a try. You never know if you might like it. Wondering if I should put some on the mousse. Nah, I don't need any on the mousse. Okay, a little more sparkle, please. Is this the spoon? I don't know. Does it really matter? What a mess I'm making, huh? If you could see this tabletop beyond what the camera shows, you wouldn't believe. It's like a cyclone hit it. This happens to me every time I do things like this. That might be better. What's that stamp? Maybe just a few more right over here, so it looks like it's actually snowing. I think I'm not going to go with this, only because it takes 3 or 4 hits to get it done. But when you emboss embossing powder on a card, it doesn't blow off and stick to things like glitter does. This won't come off. Once it's heat treated, it just becomes permanent. There we go, now I'm seeing it. Okay. It's kind of subtle snowflakes. Can you see that? Maybe right there? Cool. Alright, that doesn't look bad. We may be going with this. Alright, if that's the case, cover up some of this stuff. Let me stamp out the mousse, because we're just about done. Because this is only my first try at this. I don't know that I'm gonna do it this way. Try and show you what I'm doing. It's very tricky. There will be a white outline around the mousse. That's okay, it's snowing. Right? Okay. Gonna get him right here. Oh, he's a nicer looking mousse. Let me elevate him with a dimensional. Oh, I know. What we should do is see how it will look on the card. We still recording? Yeah. Where are my pieces? Here are the pieces. Alright, how many other layers? I need a brown and a green layer, please. Somewhere in this mess there's a brown and a green layer. Come on, paper. This is getting discouraging. This might take... Oh, is this it? No, that's not it. Is it right here? Yes. Okay. We'll take some double stick tape. Okay. We're going to put some on the brown. Usually I put a different kind of glue. I use glue instead of this tape, but because this may not be the final card, then you just kind of play with it till you get your borders nice and even, if possible. The brown one on. I've got some glitter kind of. I had tried some glitter that wasn't embossing powder, and that was a bust. Okay, now we'll get the green. I think I'd rather use my glue. But it doesn't want to come out. Let's try this one. I usually store them upside down so that I don't have such difficulty getting the glue out. Oh, back to the tape then. Get this one centered. The glue's easier to use because if you do make a mistake in centering it, you've got some leeway time to take it off and recenter it so it'll look right. I'm going to put a lot on this only because I heat treated it. Uh-oh, some of it came off. I wonder if it's not quite dry. I better hit it with the heat gun one more time. I think it's dry. Okay. And my mousse. There it is. A couple of dimensionals. Because that'll lift them above the background, and that should look pretty good. Right there, now he's more of the, how's that? I like that. I'm gonna make some more. I may not do the snowflakes. I don't think I'll go for glitter. And so then your card is here. I have a ton of pattern paper that I can just put a stripe or something inside, a little strip, and then put a sentiment, which I do have more sentiments here. I think I might put on the inside. Maybe enjoy the stillness of the season. Doesn't that look like a stillness, a very still scene? I think I'm going to put that inside. So there you have it. Day 15, Vlogmas. Now I only have to make 29 more cards. Okay, see you later.